Hey kids, it's Old Man shouting at clouds, and now with others too. Chatting about the CFL is what they're going to do. Some have no contacts and others have no clues. Everyone will tell us all their quirky football views. Hear what Old Man and others know. It's the CFL Outsiders show.
Hey GT, what are we going to do this week?
Same thing we do every week, old man. Take over the CFL.
Okay, here we go. Hey kids, welcome back to another episode of the CFL Outsiders. I remain, as always, your 100% unbiased, completely impartial, and so happy to have football back, host Old Man shouting at clouds. And, of course, I can't do this on my own, so as usual, we have our panel of, talk to Old Man. We have our panel of expert fans here. GT.
How you doing, everyone? It's 4 o'clock in the morning here at 4 a.m. to be exact, here in Budapest. And I am recently awake, but still at it. I started drinking wine at 10 o'clock this morning, and now it's 4 o'clock the next morning, and we're now drinking beer. So it is what it is. But yeah, welcome to be back. I'm sort of the wonders of technology. Here I am. I've made it all the way around the world.
I like it.
So.
You've surprised us. You didn't let any of us know about that. So, wow, congratulations. Enjoy.
So if I nod off or look even more droopy than normal, you'll know why.
Okay. Yeah, if you just slowly fade forward out of the picture, we'll be fine. But anyway, of course, we're not good enough with just GT. We also have back MJ.
Hi, everyone. I want you to know that I was so upset about the team picker for our podcast that I went and redid it on my own, and I got the Ticats. So order has been restored.
Sure. Well, speaking of that, we start with a mea culpa from me.
We're sorry, so sorry.
Because, as we've said in the past, if we make a major mistake, we should point it out. And at the end of last week's show, I was completely kerfuffled and kept getting the Toronto coach's name wrong and ended up calling him Ken Miller rather than Mike Miller. So sorry, Mike Miller. If you turn out to be half the coach Ken Miller was, then that's actually a compliment. So we'll see from there. But I mean, that's just an egregious error on me, especially now that we are basically an Argos fan cast. Now that we're supporting the Argos, I can't be doing that stuff. Anyway, that was my mistake from last week. I didn't spot anything from either of you. You didn't make any, did you? No, I didn't think so.
No one's pointed it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing glaring that I got with the editing. So we'll move ahead with it. This is going to be interesting. I'll probably try and do the editing after tonight because I'm a bachelor for the next 5 days, I think. The goddess has gone off to visit a friend on the island, and so I'm on my own until Sunday evening. Be no problem getting through the football games and stuff. And before she left, she gave me this nice new full-color Saskatchewan Indigenous logo tee, which I'm not so big on the two-tone one, but the color one I love. So to celebrate the start of the season, that's what she's given me. I'll have to wear this to the at least one of the Lions games here in Kelowna and see how people react. All right, moving down the rundown then. We were going to jump right away to MJ. You caught last week, and it was just a little bit too late for us to get in the schedule, that Arlan Bruce has come to a settlement with the BC Lions.
Yes, so this was quite the saga. If you don't know who Arlan Bruce III is, let me just quickly remind you, he is was a receiver. He played from 2001 to 2013. He's played with the Bombers, the Argos, the Ticats, the Lions, and the Alouettes. He is the one, as you remember, in 2008, put on the Spider-Man mask in his goal celebration against the Ticats. Then, the next year, he was the one that took off his helmet, jersey, and shoulder pads in the end zone and laid down on the ground as a tribute to Michael Jackson. He was traded in 2009 to the Ticats for the rights to Corey Mace because he got into a public fight with one of the coaches, and on and on and on. But what he's now best known for, I think this is going to be interesting to see how this develops with the league. You can fact check this CanLee is a site available to anyone. You can go up there and look at cases that have been heard before any of the courts that have come to a decision. So I just hopped onto CanLee today to do a little the Arlan Bruce saga. So he is suing about concussions and effects of concussions and CTE. He's suing the league. He tried to sue the league and all the teams. So in 2016, it was in the BC Supreme Court, and he was claiming that in 2012, he was knocked unconscious and suffered a concussion. And then subsequent to that, in the November game, he also had concussion hits. And in 2013, he displayed ongoing effects of concussion, and the Montreal Alouettes staff cleared him to playing games. The position of the league in this court case was that he was an employee, and therefore he needs to go to employment arbitration, and you can't sue in court, because if you can sue in court, you can get a lot more money than if you have to go to binding arbitration for employment law. So the court decided that he is entitled to arbitration, and the CFL just tried to dismiss everything. They're like, no arbitration, no court cases.
Of course,
no.
Yeah. Nothing to look at here.
But he was entitled to arbitration based on the 2014 collective bargaining agreement. So in 2017, they tried to appeal this, to say, can I please sue them? And the Court of Appeals said no. And then they tried to appeal to the Supreme Court of Canada, and the Supreme Court of Canada declined to hear the case. So it goes to arbitration. And in 2022, the CFL tries to have arbitration dismissed again. And they said, no, you have to arbitrate this. So in 2025, they are going to arbitration. So the claims are as follows. The violations these aren't you can read through. Actually, you know what, his story is quite sad, and it goes into quite a lot of detail. Like, he was admitted to a psychiatric hospital and all these things that happened after, and it's actually very sad. You can read all of it on these court decisions. Look it up yourself. But the three violations they were worried about were: 1, the Lions cleared Arlan Bruce to play at the beginning of the 2012 season without physician medical clearance. 2, post-concussion, he played in a game, BC let him play in a game without medical clearance. And 3, the Alouettes failed to retain medical records of a 2013 preseason concussion assessment. So in 2026, the decision comes down for that. He was asking for $310,000 for those 3 claims. He ended up with $25,000. So he got $10,000 for failure to follow up with medical evaluation prior to the 2012 season, and the $15,000 for failing to have medical clearance prior to allowing him to play. The Montreal Alouettes did not need to pay damages, so the other 2 are the BC Lions. We'll see how this goes, because they are employees, and because they're in a union and it's a collective bargaining. I think it's going to be hard for these players to get any sort of compensation if they sustain serious injuries. But CTE is an ongoing and very real concern for a lot of professional athletes. That's what's going on with Arlan Bruce III.
Okay, well, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time that I've heard of any sort of an award on concussion protocol or CTE, so it's significant.
I did look up the Canadian Football League in CanLee to see if anyone else is, and there was one, I think in 2018, but there's no decision on it, so I couldn't find anything about it. But this is the first one where they've arbitrated that was in the books.
The dollar amount might not be that large overall, but it's a precedent-setting thing. And frankly, if they were putting him in knowing that he'd had a concussion and not bothering to run him through the protocol, that's not good.
Yeah, I don't know what the protocols were in 2012, and that might be the difference in the amount of money that he got. If there was minimum protocols and they kind of did it as much as they had to, or ran some sort of basic check, or there were no protocols, then it might not have been. I don't remember as they evolved what year that was. But I think that may have something to do with the amount that he got. So. But because I don't think today, with the protocols that are in place, if you could prove that they ignored those protocols and let you back on the field, then I think you get a much larger settlement.
Okay, that makes some sense. I I have to admit, I might have been talking out the wrong end of my cake hole there because, like you, I don't know when the protocols changed. It feels to me like they've been there for a long time, but then that's 13 years ago. So, well, we'll see if there's any further of this.
Because I seem to remember when he first brought the case, people kind of went, oh, come on, that was before everything even happened. And he seemed to have brought the case a couple of years after he had left the league, too, not while he was playing. That's how I remember it. I think that the timing of it may be partial of the settlement with the arbitrator. Was there any indication? Was it a court-appointed arbitrator? Or how did the arbitrator come? Who was it?
I don't know. Like, it wasn't through the courts, although it's a court decision, so it might have been a court-appointed arbitrator. I don't know how. I am not an employment lawyer, so I actually don't know.
No,
but the CFL was not happy to arbitrate. They were really upset, and actually, the CFL Players Association joined Arlan Bruce on like the arbitration. Like when they tried to dismiss him, we're like, no, you will arbitrate this.
I was going to say it's obviously in the Players Association best interest to arbitrate something like that to maximize that and to support an alumni, so to speak.
Okay, yeah. I was just going to say I will say in his support, I've not had the personal experience, but someone very close to me has had the experience of a severe concussion, and even without being put back into play too early or anything like that, it was 2 or 3 years before they realized how much the long-term effects they were going to be suffering from. So I can see him not bringing it to court for a couple of years, because it takes a while for you to realize I'm just not getting better. But let's move on from that, which is sort of good news for Arlan, and I hope things go much better for him in the future. I hope this doesn't have long-lasting repercussions. I wish he'd gotten some more money, but it's something at least, and it sets a precedent. So let's move on to some happier news about a CFL receiver that got paid. Now, GT, our European correspondents, jumped in late here, so have you followed this at all, or do you want one of us to talk about it?
No, please go right ahead. I'm only going to just jump in where I can, but a lot of it's going to be news to me too.
We'll say your name every 5 minutes to wake you up. Okay. Yes, this was Kenny Lawler for Hamilton, and from what I saw, the base details, they extended him 3 years for a total of $1 million. So that's $333,000 a year. That's pushing the receiver market back up there.
It's the biggest contract for a receiver, except for that one shady one that the Argos did like 1 million years ago.
Rocket Ishmael, who got his million or whatever, yes. But like I said, good for Kenny, but I could be wrong, but I didn't check. But looking back to the 3 Downs highest paid receiver list, I didn't think we had a receiver over 300,000 now until this.
We didn't.
So that's a significant jump back up again.
It's also not guaranteed funds. So
nothing guaranteed in it?
Nothing guaranteed. And I think that's because he is injury prone. Yeah. I don't want to say that, but it's been known to happen a time or two. So that might be why it's not guaranteed.
So was he due? Or is this just out of the blue? Why would he resign now? Why would they extend him at this point? Interesting.
I'm not sure.
Did he sign a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal when he came over last year? I don't remember. And it's just interesting that all guys at this point in time that they decide to renegotiate or renew his contract. 3 years, I think the 3 years is as big as the coin, because that's a long time in today's world, in any football league, and in this one in particular. So it's nice to see these longer term contracts that we've been seeing for 2 years extensions, but to make it a 3-year deal, that's pretty nice.
Because look what happened to Mac. He signed a 3 or 4 year. I mean, so I don't trust anyone. I'm like, that's nice. We'll see.
Yeah, none of it's guaranteed money. I agree with you, MJ. There's none of it's guaranteed. But just the mere fact that he got them to put a 3-year term on there is nice.
Definitely, the contracts favor the league, because if they want you, they can keep you the 3 years. If they don't, if there's nothing guaranteed, and depending how much of it was in a signing bonus, they could walk away tomorrow if they wanted to. You're right, he does take some injuries, but on the other hand, I believe he takes those injuries because he's one of those players that just, when he has to make a play, it's the only thing that matters. His body is a secondary consideration. And, you too often see players like that I'm trying to think of the safety that down in the NFL, the Colts had a few years ago. It was Bob Sanders, absolutely fantastic safety, but only played 2 or 3 years because he used his body as a wrecking truck and it didn't hold up. But good for Mr. Lawler.
King
Congratulations.
Kenny. Yeah.
Give you some walking around cash for your time in Hamilton there.
Yeah.
All righty. What else should we talk about here? Any training camp news that worth talking about? I haven't seen anything. Anybody else? Yeah, nothing significant. It's been a low-key training camp season.
We get all the cuts on Sunday night, right? That is the final roster cut downs. I think there's still going to be some significant players that are either going to be left off of teams' rosters, and whether they move to another team or not will be the question.
I think so, but it's just there hasn't even been a lot of injury news, which is it's fortunate, but it's unusual for the last few years. I think the Stamps lost a couple of Canadians to the 6-game list, and so did Ottawa, but that's the only sort of significant injury news other than a quarterback we'll talk about later. What else did we have? Little bits and pieces here before we get to the games. The CFL app and site, our brand new app.
No. Isaiah Wooden's back.
Yes, I know, but I'm sorry, you're right. I jumped a spot. Yeah. My poor old eyes are failing me. Yes. Well, why don't you take this one, MJ?
Isaiah Wooden's back, all you Ticat fans.
Okay, moving on.
Exciting news.
Yes.
That means Mario Alford has been released, so that's a bit sad for him. But
yeah.
That's special teams is a live by, die by.
It is. But it's a cruel world when you, at 33, 34 years old, whatever he is, you gas yourself completely on a preseason touchdown return to show what you can do and then get cut the next day.
Well, it's just like auditioning for other teams. You shouldn't be kick returning at 34. I don't know.
He showed he still has some jump in his step.
Alford will be picked off if any one team's primary return specialist goes down throughout the course of the year. He'll get a call for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the touchdown he got called back on an illegal block, and when I went back and looked at it, I don't think he would have got the touchdown without that block. I think it was significant to the play, but still, he did what he had to do, and he had some real jump in his step. So, that's it. Isaiah in. Yay! Out.
Such is.
Now I get to jump on. Sorry, I jumped past that. I
know you were trying to ignore the Ticat news, but no.
Yeah, there we go. Yes. Well, it's our preseason too, so I'll have a talk with the coach. We'll go over the tape. That won't happen again. All right, moving on to where I was. The new CFL app and site and fantasy and whatnot. Well, they've released the fantasy. Yay. It's and basically there's 2 formats. You can set it up like a more traditional fantasy football league where there's only 6 teams allowed in a league. You do your preseason draft. If you want to add anyone through the season, you have to use the waiver wire and all of that. I'm not going to be getting into that part. I'm sure it's great for some of the people that are big on it, but I'll be sticking with the weekly. And I sent you all both a text the other day saying the CFL Football Podcast Networks, the league is going again this year. So I've dumped my cash in already. I'll be back trying to represent us on there, and hopefully I'll make that final step. I lost in the finals last year, so when I put it in, I talked to Adam Stewart, who's the commissioner of the league, and also beat me, which so you might say there's a fix in there somewhere. I don't know. But we talked a little bit and did some of the lowest key trash talking you'll ever see, and we're ready to go. So you all have to let me know. You don't have to declare here to the fans, but you have to let me know before May 30th if you want in. And we were allowed to have more from the one podcast if you think it's fun and you'd like to give it a try. All righty.
So it's basically that's the same week by week where we pick the 5. The same thing.
Yeah, same format as last year. It's you pick a fresh team every week. Your points for the week count towards your season total, and each week we'll play one other person. You go head to head, even though it's a weekly kind of thing. So the more wins you have, the more it counts towards getting into the playoffs. And then there are some weeks where you play against the league average. We'll talk about that through the season, and we'll see what's going on. I'll be doing the adjacent show, Oldman Plays CFL Fantasy again this year with my tips and picks, and be the same format unless either you end up muscling in with me on it. So we'll see. Anything that in the app, sorry, I went searching for CFL app to see if I could get any news on there at all, and I found, hey, they have an app, the CFL News Hub. It's been around since 2022. It's not bad. It's basically the CFL website on an app page, but it's not this new app we've been promised.
It's not regular season yet.
No, that's true. There's a week to go.
We still have
A
a
week
week.
and a half. I mean, but this one, if you're interested, you can pick it up off of either the Apple Store or the Android, whatever it's called with it. It's CFL News Hub. It gives you the news stories of it. And the one thing that's nice is it does have a tab for the rosters. So you can just go over and quickly look at the roster during a game. It's supposed to have coaches. I didn't see any on there.
And that's officially from the league. For some reason, I thought that site was driven by.
It has a 1-star review, the average.
Yeah.
I thought that was driven by
It's
a
it's-
local guy.
it's the owner is like, it's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It
It's not the
looks
CFL.
legit
It's
to
the
me, but okay.
CM3 Solutions.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, it's there if anybody wants to look
Schedule
at it.
doesn't work.
The
Waited a
schedule-
long time. Good
Yeah,
if you're
I
living in the
thought-
90s.
Yeah.
No
So
game
maybe it's not so
times.
good. I just
Really
gave it a quick.
bad. Should I read more?
So maybe not something to recommend. I just gave it a quick browse through and thought, well, okay, it saves opening up this browser to have to get to the CFL. The important thing is, yeah, there's a week to go, but I could not find an article anywhere about
No.
it.
Okay, but they don't care about technology because they also use PitchCom, and no one ever told us about that either.
Yeah.
You just have to figure it out on your own. Do your own
Yes.
research, old man.
Exactly. But that's sort of an internal thing within the team, so I can see it. If they build an app, it's kind of for us fans. So you'd
No.
think they'd want to let us know.
No.
Anyway, that's as
We've
far
learned no
negative as I'm
lessons.
going to get. Well, no, that's not true. That's not as far negative as I'm going to get. I'm going to slide down south. We don't normally talk NFL here, but I'm going to slide down south and say thank you to the Green Bay Packers, who immediately released Josh Jacob after he got allegations of domestic abuse, and it sounds like a pretty horrific scenario. Don't have to say anything a lot about it unless you guys want to, but I'm impressed that as soon as that news came out, they didn't wait and say, well, we have to see how this plays out in the courts or anything. They just, you're gone. And he's a fairly significant player, so I like to see that kind of integrity in an organization. Anything? It's an old man monologue tonight.
What?
No, I don't know the story,
Yeah.
so I'm not going to comment. Other than it sounds like the right decision
Yeah, it just
based on what. Yeah.
It just broke today. The story basically, I couldn't tell if he'd been arrested or detained, and I don't know what the difference would be, but it was on charges of assault and battery. They said something about strangulation in there, intimidating someone. So the allegations, at least, are not good. But now we can go to something much more positive. And MJ, you pointed this out, so I'm going to go back to you.
Yeah, just a quick news for all those dog fans out there that they announced that Must Love Dogs got renewed for season 2. So
Excellent.
I'm interested to see, because they'll be filming it through this season, how Brady's doing with Tommy Condell. And all the
That's
cute
true.
dogs.
Yes. Well, that is good news. So season 2.
Yeah, so it
And-
sounds like it's been pretty popular, so that's really exciting because and I mean, what a gift for the CFL.
Yeah, hopefully they get out and promote it a bit more. If it's popular enough to be picked up for another season, who knows? Maybe some
Well-
of the bigger streaming services might pick it up
Three
too.
Down Nation tried to interview Brady, and all he talked about was his Must Love Dogs show to them. It was the best.
Hey, he's got a good probably 5-6 years left in his career, but it's never too early to start transitioning to TV star.
Yeah, they were trying to ask him about football. He's like, well, I'm just focusing on my TV show.
Yeah, me and my dogs.
Yeah, I loved it. It was great.
Yeah,
I'm not up to the end of it. I've got the last 2 episodes to still watch yet from
Me
season
too.
1, so I will do
There
that
was-
upon my return.
There was an episode where all 3 of us in my house were sobbing. Dogs, they're just love them so much.
Winnipeg has got a marketing possibility there that they should not miss. They should have on their website and maybe on some billboards around Manitoba, Brady there front and center with a half a dozen of his rescue dogs and a bunch of his teammates behind him, and just label it Brady and the Dogs. You know, it would be, people would love that. I think I'd love that. Mind you, I don't know that I'm a typical sample. All righty. So good news for that. And another one, I'm going to throw an audible at the two of you, ask a question that wasn't on the show rundown. So for GT, this won't make any difference at all. But for MJ, it might.
I was going to say, it's way too early in the day for audibles. Give me a break.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
But I thought about this question and I forgot to put it on the rundown. And I'm curious about your opinions on this. If I say that a bankable elite rush end, somebody that you can pretty much looking at the season, you can say, barring a real surprise or a bad injury, they're going to contribute to their team. They're going to make a difference in the league right now. Are there any of those east of Alberta?
Steresna in Manitoba might be.
But he's playing tackle. I'm talking the DNs.
Well, he plays both
Yeah, that's true. He
inside and
can play
outside.
outside. Yeah.
So Hauser, after last year, whether he can come back this year with the same kind of year, he could be. I'd say Adedemi Berglund in Montreal is somebody that I would say is that.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. No, there's no one. I don't think there's anybody outside in Ottawa right now or in Toronto. So no, but I think there's a few guys east of Alberta.
Yeah. I forgot another part of my definition I didn't put in there was also that they've shown they can do it with multiple coaches or systems. And again,
multiple coaches.
Yeah. So, but anyway, what do you think on that, MJ? Anybody jumps to mind?
Berglund is the guy in the East, I would say.
Yeah. I don't, he could be, but I don't put him up there quite yet. One more season, I probably will.
Would
the other
you
two that haven't
really, right?
Whitney McManus in that position?
Sorry,
not as an end, not as a defensive end.
Make me
yeah.
No. All right. You're right. Sorry, I'm trying to Google people's specific positions.
Yeah. The other two that I thought of that have potential, but I don't know that you can bank on them yet, are Osai for Hamilton. He looked good in the preseason, and at the end of last season, he was really coming on. And then is it Chatfield or Chatterfield for Toronto?
Chatfield in Toronto, yeah.
Again, he looked really good last year, but he got injured, and he's had 1 year looking good. 1 year starting and looking good.
Yeah. See, and I see both, again, Hauser for your definition, or Hauser, or Hauser, or however we are pronouncing his name now. But Hauser has been, he's been back in his in a whole new regime in Hamilton, and plus the previous regime, plus in Calgary. So I think that fits your definition a lot better than the two guys you just mentioned.
Yep.
And I think, honestly, I think you're vastly underrating Adedemi Berglund. He's a star. He just is, and he's 7 years in now, and he's been a star almost since he came into the league. And he's Canadian, which, again, that adds another level of expertise to it.
And he's got great face makeup. Yeah. He's got great face makeup. In fact, the whole team does it now.
You've convinced me. I'll say this on both of them. I thought about Isaac Adem Berglund. It's so hard for me to even pronounce the name, and he has been good, but I didn't realize he'd been doing it that long. He struck me as more of a more recent one. So definitely you've convinced me on that. And again, on Hauser, frankly, he just slipped out of my mind when I was thinking about this, but he does fit. He does. But I was looking at, because I started looking at that and saying, well, what have we got? Well, we got Betts in BC, we got Flo in Calgary, and we got Carney in Edmonton. And other than that, I was struggling. But you're right, Hauser should be in there, and maybe Adam Berglund.
And you wouldn't put Willie in that list?
Not now. He's lost a step. He's great at blocking on the line, but he's not a pass rusher anymore.
Yeah, but he still had more. Look at those knockdowns he had. Like that alone. The knockdowns last year alone. So he's not getting pressure on the quarterback, but he's still disrupting play.
He is doing that.
And they still scheme for him specifically. Every team does. So if you're still doing that, that means you're affecting the play, every play, whether you're getting there or not.
Yeah.
I think you got to put Willie on that one.
And how many times last year did I hear
and I think
a pass interference thing where like the trajectory of the ball changed so because of Willie?
Yeah, that I will give you that, but I still say it's the other factor in this is his age, and this is bankable that you can count on this year. Can we count on Willie doing what he did last year, even with the backdowns this year? And as you get into the age where he is, I don't know about bankable, but that's okay.
You want Mario Alford to be a returner at 34.
I love Mario though. Listen,
but that's the same issue.
Yes, but I didn't say that Mario was a bankable, surefire returner. I just said that he should have a chance. All righty. If this was the podcast opinion, you guys would win because you outvote me, but this is personal opinion, so I'm staying where I am, and all the Winnipeg and Willie fans can go ahead, come at me with the comments. I'm ready for it. It is so much fun starting to get good comments in from the viewers and the watchers out there, so please rake me over the coals if you need to. All right. So that one I threw in at the end. The next one is something that normally you'd be talking about, MJ, because it's CEBL related. Do you know about it, or do you want me to go in and try and butcher the names here?
I know about it, but you go ahead. I'll fill in.
Because all that I know is basically saw an article, read it, thought this is great information. It is, tell me if I'm wrong, Rayanne Marcoux. Okay, he has been announced as the president of the Sea Bears, the Winnipeg franchise in the CEBL. I think it's great to see a woman getting a shot at a position like that. I don't know anything about her, and I'm really not a fan of basketball or the CEBL, but all the reviews seemed extremely positive with it. And the other thing, from what I understand, is she's basically, as far as fan engagement and revenue, she's taking over the flagship team of the league. When I saw it, they said the Sea Bears averaged 7,700 fans in the stands per game last year, and the next closest was, I think, the Vancouver team at about 4,400.
Yeah, they are the best. They have the best attendance record in the. They put on a show out in Winnipeg. So she used to work for the Bombers.
Okay.
She was actually, I'm trying to figure out she was the VP of Marketing and Communications. And she is one of the ones who publicly called out the CFL for how they handled the Chad Kelly situation. She was very vocal about that.
Good. And, I'm liking this more.
And so I think this is like insider baseball for CBL, but they had a lot of drama for the Sea Bears last year. They had a guy who was like their GM and their coach, and he is quite the person. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I really don't want to get into it, but because we don't need to talk basketball for hours. But he left, and now Marcoux is in, and I think this is a fantastic opportunity for her and the Sea Bears.
Well, yeah, we won't do too much of this because otherwise we're going to have to spin off a CEBL podcast here or something somewhere. But I will ask, you said this fellow whose name we don't remember, that he was interesting. Is that good interesting or bad interesting?
So he and Teddy Allen is their top player, and they got into quite the scuffles. And I sit close to the visitor team bench at the Edmonton games, so I get to see all the drama unfolding. He is a hothead. He was a hothead. And I'm not surprised. He would get team technical fouls all the time. They would get technical fouls because of him, like, beaking at the refs. Anyway, there was lots of internal drama. So I hope that she's there to right this. And it's unfortunate because they have such a great fan base. So hopefully she can come in and get the organization to where it needs to be, to the level that fans deserve there, because they are out there supporting their team.
Certainly sounds like it. And she sounds like a quality person from everything I've heard. So hopefully even better news for the Sea Bears in the future. See, all the things I learned. I learned who the president of the Sea Bears was, and I learned there's a team, the Sea Bears, in Winnipeg today. So, oh, well.
They play where the Jets play. They play. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have fire for their 3-pointers out of the basket. Oh, it's a whole show. It's a whole show in Winnipeg.
Gotta like it. So, but we are going to jump on back to football. And GT, so you haven't had the show rundown or anything. So I'll just ask you as a segue here, a random question. What do you think the over-under is on the number of quarterbacks leaving Winnipeg training camp today?
Oh, well, there was at least one. I know that. I read that.
Yeah, there's been 2 so far. So.
But yeah, today, there was one that was, he was actually released today, right?
Well,
they released Wilson.
Yeah, he was moved to the
after
suspended list, and now he's been released.
Yeah, he was on the other, so they were both on the suspended list this past week, and then they actually released Wilson today. I didn't read the story; I just read the headline that they actually released him today. So,
which tells me they shopped him around a bit and nobody was interested, so off they went.
It sounds like he went in and handed his playbook in and quit.
Yeah. And apparently that's pretty much what Perkins did too. Now, O'Shea's been saying, good things about them still. They're good players, and sometimes you just don't know that it's the right situation for you in that. I've also heard in the background that some rumors out there that Tommy Condell is difficult to work with. So that may have something to do with it. It may be that they saw Elgersma getting the bulk of the number 2 reps at camp and just decided we don't have a place here.
I feel like they've made Elgersma heir apparent without actually any proof of play.
It does feel like
not that I'm saying that Wilson and what's his face other guy are like the guy next, but from what I've heard, I don't think they had a fair and open camp in quarterback position.
I think that's the case, and I can understand why. But again, it is what it is. When you draft somebody that high, going in that guy's going to be there. They're not going to waste that high a draft pick without giving him every opportunity. So if you don't feel like you're getting a fair shake, so to speak, then you might as well just get out of town.
Maybe Tim White wasn't catching their passes, because I just read an article saying that they're going to run the whole Bomber offense through Tim White.
Yeah. And Tommy Condell's the new coordinator. Go figure.
I was like, let's check in on Ticat and Red Black fans.
Yeah, I don't know. I got some notes during the game where we can talk about that.
Yeah, Brady's just like filming his show. He's just.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, you got Tim White who's got some nice moves and stuff, but has had frying pan hands for the last few years. So if I'm one of the other Bomber receivers, there's a few out there that are pretty darn good, saying, well, we're going to focus on this guy. I don't know how cohesive the offense will be. They have a great culture in Winnipeg, and they are team first and all of that. But the stuff I'm hearing, I'm wondering how well the offense will work behind the scheme that Condell seems to be putting in. Don't
me to be proven wrong by the end of the year, but I'm going to say I told you so before the season even starts.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun times in Bomberland.
Go to a Sea Bears game, friends.
Yeah, there we go. I think the Bombers could still be okay this year, but we'll get to that with it. Let's see, one last thing before we start talking about the games, and this, we could talk about it in the games, but it's significant enough to cover off of outside them, I think, and that's the fact that Davis Alexander in Montreal played the first quarter and then came out of the game, which is what you'd expect, or part of the first quarter, and then came out, which is what you'd expect for a starting quarterback in a preseason game. But then apparently they took him off to the hospital for x-rays because of what he said was a hit on his knee that he'd never had before. And they're saying he's okay and he'll be good for day one. But if you were an Alouettes fan, how comfortable would you be right now after losing him to a hamstring all last season, reading recently that he played through a college season with, I think, a torn ACL or something and whatnot.
And a broken elbow.
Yeah, and now this is your first game, and on very little contact, this happens.
I feel like it was like 3 series in. Like, it wasn't very much. And the Alouette fan in my house is very distraught. He's very distraught.
It was, and it was obvious on television. Like, I saw it, and I immediately said, "Oh, he's not looking good. There's something wrong there." And the story kind of developed from there as they took him out and then read, that he'd gone to hospital and so on and so forth. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. I would be sweating it as an Alouette fan for sure. I'd be a little stressed, because no matter what they tell you, it's still there in the back of your mind, and I'm sure it's in the back of the team's mind, and I'm sure it's in the back of Alexander's mind that there's still something there. there's definitely still something there. It's not the same injury. It's something else, and it's something that's happened. So I would be a little stressed. For sure.
And if Davis, if he's not playing like a wrecking ball and chirping and beacon and running, then he is not good. He's got to be like playing on the edge to play as well, like at an elite level that he can play at. So if he is got it in the back of his mind a little bit to be a little more cautious, I think that's going to be very detrimental to the Alouettes.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he could play this weekend in their last preseason game.
He's not. They said that he won't.
Okay, yeah, because I hadn't seen.
Yeah,
that.
but they also said that he wouldn't have been playing anyways.
Yeah.
Again, because it was in Montreal is why they started him to begin with. They always start the QB1. Every team starts QB1 in the home exhibition game. They don't play in the away
unless
game.
You're BC.
But that wasn't really a home game either.
Yeah.
Rourke will have to play this week, I guess. But not necessarily. They might not play this week either, considering they're still trying to figure out who number 2 is.
Yeah, that's true. And he is a quarterback. Maybe you let him go. I mean, it's rare, but there are some players who don't get looked at in training camp. Not all quarterbacks. I mean, I noticed that Saskatchewan signed Letcher Jr. as a returner and didn't put him in any of the preseason games. So either he's nicked and they're saying nothing, or they're that confident. But with Davis, so if they ruled him out, and that makes sense. Yeah, it's an away game in the preseason. I can see that. But I got to tell you, they've said no problem. He'll be there for the first game of the season. If he's not on the roster the first game of the season, and I'm an Alouette fan, the air is going out of me pretty quickly, I think.
It's like PTSD from last year. My goodness.
Yeah. And we'll see where the Crumback world lives these days.
Yeah, like Dustin really gambled right on this one, didn't he?
Yeah, didn't he though? Yeah, because I don't know if you saw, you probably did. The 3-down article, he said he had offers from 5 or 6 teams and that there were serious offers from BC and Montreal, and he chose Montreal to go to. So, I saw someone commenting, I think it was on one of the social media today, going, well, Ottawa made a big mistake in letting Crum go. I don't know it was them letting him go. I don't know. I think it might have been more that they couldn't afford to match for a backup what other teams were playing. Mind you, they paid Mayer for $200,000. Maybe exactly. There I go again, talking before I put my mouth in gear before the brain is fully engaged. All right. I think that's about it, other than going to the games where we can talk about them now. GT, in your jet setting, did the luxury jet stream that you took over there, did they have the big screens and were you able to watch the game?
I wasn't that interested in any of the games. I watched a quarter of each of them, maybe at the most. I watched to see how Trey Ford did, not good. I watched to see how Algersma did, not great. And I watched to see how the weather was in Hamilton, and it was horrible.
Not great.
Because outside my window in the opposite end of the city, it was just as ugly. Yeah. So the few brave souls that sat throughout that game, I've full credit, my friends. That was putting in the good work, because to sit in the rain and the wind and the cold on that miserable Saturday afternoon for an exhibition game that didn't matter, you're a brave soul.
Yeah, and there was
good on you.
There was a not bad number of them out there. I mean, it was probably a couple of thousand at most, but they were there in that weather. So full respect to Ticats fans.
The Bucks J boys were probably there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, and I will say, just for everybody, not to be whining or anything, but just to let you know, I couldn't watch the Friday night game. I had stuff on. So I sat through 4 hours of preseason football, so you don't have to. I can tell you about it. And especially, actually it wasn't that bad, but especially considering the BC game was pretty much a dud, and it was the last one I saw. I don't have a lot of notes on the second half of it. Pretty much, again. But
yeah, Saturday was my kid's flag football, and he scored 3 touchdowns, so I had a much better time watching that game than CFL preseason.
Yeah, exactly. And heck, 3 touchdowns, maybe he'll play it in the CFL preseason in another decade or so.
Well, we'll see. Maybe. He's gonna be playing Olympic flag football Olympics.
Yeah.
That's where he's going. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that would work out well, because 10 years will be 3 Olympics down the road. Because he's right around 10 or so now, isn't he?
Yeah, maybe he'll get like a scholarship to the U.S. to play flag football.
Yeah, and if he's 10 now, he'd be 20 for the 2036 Olympics.
Yeah, so who knows?
There you go, yes. But anyway, the first game of the season was Ottawa going into Montreal and winning 27-12, if that matters in the preseason.
I did watch some of this game.
I watched, like I said, every game start to finish. So I can tell you a few things. I thought Jake Maier showed why he is still in the league and getting paid $200,000 as a backup quarterback, because 51% of his plays are starter caliber. Oops. Bye, GT.
Bye, GT.
He'll come back. Either he passed out or the Budapest wireless Wi-Fi is low in the hotels. I'm sure he'll come back.
I find this interesting that I was like, oh, he looks like their starter job looks a little wide open. And then I was like, interesting that Ryan could do this, but Dave Dickinson and Corey Mace couldn't. So I'm like, oh, Ryan.
Yeah.
How do you always do this?
It was preseason, don't forget, too.
I won't get too excited.
And like I said, 51% of his plays look like starter quality. It looks like we should be able to put him out there, but the other 49% still just aren't that great. Now, Ryan, Coach Dinwiddie did say that it's an open competition still, so I'm assuming Brown will be in there this weekend, and we'll see. I thought, to tell you the truth, I thought that, who was it here? It was, besides Maier, they also had, was it Barnes that was in there? And for a young quarterback, he looked fairly good too.
Yeah. Fly looked really good too. Like they're on receiver. I was like, that's a nice little pickup for them. Yes. He looks like he's fitting right in. Because I was like, who is that guy? Yeah. Why is he catching things? Why is he catching hard things on the sideline? And I was like, oh, look at, okay. So, well, you do look nice little pickup for the Red Blacks.
Yes, nice. Yeah, one of the training camp possible surprises.
Well, they made the Alouettes look a little silly.
They did,
and they played Alouettes played a lot of starters because they were playing at home. And
yes, and well, no one in Montreal was necessarily having a great game because the feed was from RTS. They had, so it's like a TSN quality feed on RTS, and it was a great feed. I had no problems about it, except they threw up a graphic at one time listing the Montreal Alouette receivers that they had available in camp this year, and one of them was Mac Collins. So somebody either slow on research or didn't quite cut and paste right. But I mean, if they could have both Mac and Collins, I'm sure they'd be happy to. But
they also had, they were dubbing English over French, and things were they were talking to Jason Moss while the anthem was playing while they were showing an interview, so nothing was lining up. Apparently, the guys got caught on a hot mic talking about his ex-girlfriend. So
I didn't get that.
Oh boy, just all sorts of preseason things to work out for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and let's see. Also, one of the landing spots for Mario might not be the Red Blacks because they had this kid Stewart in who looked pretty good on the returns. He got one about 30 yards and said some very nice moves. And what else can I talk about? Oh, my title for this game was "You Can't Kill the Rouge." No matter how hard they...
Somewhere Stuart Johnson is just fuming that there was two Rouges.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and the broadcast guys who were the Montreal broadcast radio team, they're right at the end of the half there was a missed field goal that the returner tried to take out and got tackled, and they were there about, oh, what a terrible decision, and you can't have him doing stuff like that. And I'm sitting and thinking, well, first of all, it's preseason. When this return is done or he takes a knee or whatever, the half is over. So if they're going to score anything, it's him getting a good return. And give him the free rein to try it in the preseason. When else are you going to see it? So I didn't think it was a bad decision, but they were.
Hey, let me tell you a little story about other preseason, because in baseball, pitchers will throw the same pitch 5 times in a row to a guy because they're working on it.
Yeah.
And no one cares. Because it's preseason, and these are the things you have to work out in real time. You can work things out at practice all you want, but it's never going to be the same as a real-time game situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. The score does not matter. Find out what you need to find out, and the coaches all know that, but not all of the talking heads do.
Yeah, it was nice to see Desjardins get some playing time.
Yes. Yes. Arnaud Desjardins, who, for anyone who doesn't know, I think he was the Rouge et Orange, the Val quarterback. Yes. He won the Vanier Cup, I think, twice and didn't get drafted at the end of 25 when he was eligible. So when the Alouettes decided two of their American quarterbacks weren't going to do it and got rid of him, they called him up and said, come to camp. And apparently he was working as a lawyer and worked it out with his firm to drop that and came into camp. He had probably 2 or 3 practices. And frankly, he was the best looking Montreal quarterback out there. I mean, he looked poised. He looked like he knew what he was doing. I forget. I think he was like 7 for 8 or something. I should have checked those stats, but it was pretty good. And his only incompletion came when a bit of a scramble and he tried an impromptu shovel pass to a running back who turned his back on it as the pass was coming there. Other than that, he was perfect. And I hope he gets to stick. A lot of knowledgeable football people are saying he's really just a camp arm. You know, they've got who they want. They've got Alexander, they've got Crum, and they've got another kid who's injured right now, and they're just trying to get till he comes back. But I hope Desjardins gets a try. Yeah. Any thoughts on that, GT? Did you get to see any of it? Are you still awake? Hello?
I don't think his Wi-Fi is no.
Yeah. Hotel Wi-Fi.
Hotel Wi-Fi. Only feel marginally sorry for him, though.
We're getting great visuals of you, GT, but no audio if you're hearing us. No audio at all. Yeah. And I told you guys in the email earlier today, I went and redid my whole network, so we shouldn't have any problems on this end.
You've been good tonight. This is not on you.
Great, but I'm not in a hotel somewhere in Budapest, or maybe it's not a hotel. Maybe it's the back room of a party club that he's just gone to between.
You know.
Okay, well, we'll give him a chance to come back in on things if he gets that straightened out. You got anything else on the game at all, MJ? Or?
No, that was honestly the only one I watched. So I had a few notes. That was it.
All right. So it will be a soliloquy from Oldman for a while until we get GT back in here, because we'll go on to the second game of the weekend, which was Toronto 20 and Hamilton 10. And this is the one I'm affectionately calling the Blob Bowl, because the rain was apparently basically a hurricane setting. And the rain was so bad they could not keep the cameras dry. The camera with the long shot, every time you had a shot from it, and they used it a fair bit, what you saw was a bunch of round black-colored blobs and whitish blobs, and you couldn't see anything else at all. And that was the TSN game. That was the one from the broadcasters.
Yeah, we were trying to stream it in between my son's games, and we were like, oh, forget it. And then we tried to stream the BC game, and then the video quality was also very poor. So we're like, forget it. But I do feel bad for all the players on both teams, because it's hard to showcase, especially if you're trying to make a team. You can't showcase in a game like that.
Yes.
In those kind of conditions. It's too bad.
Yes. It's kind of funny. That's one of the notes that I made for myself. I said, what I learned from TSN this weekend: it's impossible to evaluate quarterbacks in bad weather games like that. There's no way they get a fair shot of what they can do. So you just burn the tape, unless they're Chad Kelly, in which case you can say, well, he's the obvious MVP for the season. He is looking better than he ever did. Apparently, he's the $6,000 man. They built him back better. He's stronger and more mobile and faster than he was before the injury, is what they're saying. And, we might as well just hand the Argos the cup right now. That was my takeaways from TSN.
2026 rehabilitation tour has commenced.
Yes, it has. And I mean, I'm generally a fan of Lapo, but he was... it appears that they were given the direction, pump up Chad Kelly. Toronto needs fans. Toronto needs, so.
Biden is making people mad.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he wasn't great. He was 3 of 7 for 29 yards.
So sad.
And I've heard, again, people defending him going, well, but you look, there were a couple of drops. You can't put that on the quarterback. I'm sorry, when you're playing in a monsoon and you're throwing full heat at a receiver that's 10 yards away, I can put that on you.
I have 3 hopes for Chad Kelly this year. I hope that every time on the field he is, 1, sacked, B, throws an interception, and finally, if none of those 2 happen, I hope he throws an incompletion.
Yeah.
Like, those are my hopes for him every time he is on the field.
Yeah. Well, maybe 3 down will treat him like Elshrisma, and you can go every game and get a pass-by-pass breakdown in the article.
Honestly.
That's what they did for the recap of the Winnipeg game.
I heard a lot about that. Whatever guy that you guys weren't so high on starts with an S.
Shagger.
Shagger. I heard a lot about him this week as well.
Yeah, I did, and I've got some stuff to say about him when we get to the game.
Anyway, this is a burn the tape, or is this a how do you handle May regular season? Maybe this isn't a burn the tape game. Maybe this is exactly the tape you should be looking at, because this is how games are going to be going forward.
Yes, I agree. But let's see another game. Let's leave that and jump back to sort of where we were finished off. Yeah. Well, I still had a couple of things that I just wanted to mention. As GT said, unfortunately, Trey looked terrible.
I didn't actually see. That's too bad for him.
I think he was 2 of 8 or something like that, or 2 of 10, and just did not look good at all. But for the Hamilton defense, Stubblefield, who, they got last year, he couldn't play the first half of the season. He was coming on. He looks like he's come back in ready for bear. He was making plays out there. So, yeah, I think that should give you a nice big smile.
Yes.
That looks good. Okay. So we should go, actually, in the actual order that they were played, we should go to the Winnipeg, Saskatchewan game, but for some reason I had that wrong. So on the rundown here, I put Edmonton.
Edmonton won this game.
Yeah. Oh, where did I have 12? They beat them by much more than that.
It was like 30 something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hold on a sec. That was
score doesn't matter. It's preseason.
We're in preseason form here, so
scores aren't important. We're working on fundamentals and certain plays.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, we'll watch the tape here. I'm gonna actually type this in the CFL schedule for 2026, and we'll see where I got wrong on that one. Okay.
Because if you hear it at the top, the Elks are like going all the way based on this one game.
Yeah,
I've heard.
Yes, it's amazing. There's 2 or 3 Grey Cup champions that have been crowned already.
Hope springs eternal.
Okay, here we go. Where did I get 12 from? I don't know. Edmonton 34, BC 16. And I mean, to be fair about the whole thing, Edmonton did have starters there. And even though it was a BC home game, they did not. They started Chase Bryce. Nathan was nowhere out there. None of their starters were out there. But Chase Bryce looked a bit better than I expected him to. He was 8 for 10, 77 yards, and he stood in there and looked like he had some poise. Other than that, the other 2 they ran out there, Salter wasn't great, and Dege looked Dege. Yeah, Dege. Thank you. One of the names I always struggle with. Dege looked like Dege. He did not look solid at all. So
I heard Taylor Powell looked good.
Taylor Powell looked fairly good. There were a couple of throws or reads that were, I thought, a little bit shaky, but in general, he looked like he could be the heir apparent, and who knows if Cody gets hurt or struggles, they're probably in pretty good position. Cody looked okay, but one of the things that I don't understand, no disrespect to Cody Fajardo, every time I watch him play, I think he doesn't have it. That's not a professional quarterback out there. And I look at the end of the game and he wins by 8 points. So
I know, right?
It's
not just you. It's everyone.
Yeah.
I think we should have an over-under on how many bracelets Cody has by the end of the year.
Yeah. Hey, we'll let you organize that one. That's a vibe thing. That's an MJ thing. What else? Oh, I had full credit because BC took full advantage of the ad space that they were provided with by the CFL. There were a few CFL ads in the halftime and in the breaks between the timeout breaks, but most of it was BC Lions stuff, and it wasn't the same thing over and over again. They were varying ones talking to the players, and that they obviously gave the city of Langford a bunch of it because there was 3 or 4 Langford tourism ads that were up there. And the one that I liked the best was there was a long form ad, might have only been a minute, but it felt like 2 minutes to me. And they directly addressed losing the Western final last year and how it went. and they had the coaches and the players talking about it and what went wrong and what motivation they were getting from it. They did not shy away from it at all. And that
That's
was confident
amazing.
and yeah, I'm sure it's on the BC website. So go and take a look at it.
Just
Yeah. And and just it seems like the whole administration there is a team that gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did I mention? Oh yeah, Powell did have a bad misthrow on a corner route where he got intercepted, but other than that, like I said, mostly solid.
He was just working on a play. Just working on a play.
It's preseason.
It's preseason.
Just
doesn't
working
matter.
reps on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Snyder, when he came in for Edmonton, looked like a third string. He looked like, if you absolutely had to put him in the game, he'd play, but I don't know that he's ready for stuff. Nate DeMontague, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right, he was the first round pick for the Lions, 7th overall out of North Dakota. He made just an incredible catch on a corner route that looked like as pro a catch as I've ever seen. And then he laid out for another one and hurt his shoulder and went out in a sling. So hopefully he's not.
Oh, that one, yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I should go. Actually, call an audible, popping back to the other game, we're still in the same game. Boy, I'm in preseason form. On the Edmonton side, Victor Benjamin made a catch on the sidelines where he had to go up, and coming down, he basically turned himself into a pretzel to somehow get a foot down. And that was some athleticism. That was a play that I went and played back about 3 times.
I think they were also a little on the mission because apparently the word on the street was that they were having a terrible offensive training camp.
Yeah. Even Cody said that.
Yeah, and it was just like they were getting some bad press about it. So I think they were there to show up and show out, right? Like, fans are disgruntled enough in Edmonton. You can't make it worse.
Exactly.
So go out and put your best foot forward. And
yes, Cody was doing his bipolar act the week before. Came out one day with the quote, "We've got a Grey Cup caliber roster on the team here," and then the next day said, "Our work in training camp is embarrassing."
Yeah.
What else did I have? Oh yeah, just on basically rookie stuff. Kyler Kettle, who was the Elks 3rd round, 21st pick overall out of the U of A, also made a couple of nice plays, including a 58-yard pass and run at the end of the game for a touchdown. And I didn't think he was going to get in the end zone, but apparently he runs faster than he looks like he's running, or the DBs were really slow, because somehow I didn't think he had the corner, but he got in, and nice to see that happening. And then the other one that looked good to me was Isaiah Knight, who was back from 2025, was one of the draft picks out of UBC, and he looked very good. But I'm wondering, if he's good on special teams, he's probably going to keep a spot, but will being Canadian hurt him when they're starting an American at running back? And will they maybe not want a Canadian at backup? Any thoughts?
We'll see. I do have a question for you about the field dimensions there, because I heard that one of the end zones was the 15-yard end zone.
Yeah, if that. It might have been about 12.
Yeah, how did that look on camera, though?
Weird.
Yeah.
But for preseason, I'm okay. It'll be different for next year. I don't know. Yeah. It certainly does give you a lot less room to operate back there.
Yeah, it's a lot less in the back. Well,
yep. Yeah, those high throws to the back of the end zone, I guess, will still work. With the
toe in, like SJ Green, toe in. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Back of the end zone.
But you're going to have a lot more DBs closer to you when that happens.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
All right.
Any other thoughts? We've got to carry on without GT. Oh dear.
Yeah, he said that this phone won't let him reconnect, so it's just you and me for the rest of the ride.
All right. Sounds good. I'm glad he got here for part of it. I don't know if it's a phone error or an operator error, since he said he's going to wait for 24 hours.
Yes, as someone who just did a European trip earlier this year, I can tell you that time change is quite the doozy.
Yes. Okay, well, let's jump on then to the Saskatchewan Winnipeg game. Winnipeg 27, Saskatchewan 31. And I got to say, this is a preseason game. It includes basically a 2-minute scoring drive by a rookie quarterback to give the the Riders a 4-point lead after they fell behind. And then it's down to the 20-second mark before the Riders defense picks off whoever was playing quarterback for Winnipeg at the time. I think it was Bryce Perkins. Yeah. They picked him off on a throw. Not his fault, really. It's like, you're behind. You've got 20 seconds to go. You got to try, and he threw into traffic. But that's Riders football my whole life, and they're doing it in the preseason now. I don't know if I'm going to have to worry about whether I like the 2027 rules or not. My heart might not make it through. They're still doing that, and especially when they play the Bombers.
Oh,
yeah,
they're just working on plays.
Yep, that's all they're doing. Yes. So I made a note to myself here. After we finish with this, we'll get into our obligatory 30-minute discussion on Taylor Elgrisma. I can't believe it. Like I said earlier, John Hodge literally wrote an article that had every play he ran documented.
Where is GT to rant and rave about the rider bias, the bias?
Well, this was a Winnipeg
the Elgrisma bias, the Elgrisma bias.
Yeah. I didn't say it at the start, but I was thinking to say I'm in a bit of a mood because I really want us to talk about something other than quarterbacks, and especially other than quarterbacks named Elgrisma, Kelly, and Rourke.
We don't need to talk about any of those three.
Yeah,
Rourke didn't play.
No.
I am happy to never talk about Chad Kelly and Elgrisma. We can just, go read the 30 Down Nation article if you want.
Yeah. If you didn't see it, you can certainly relive it in your imagination there.
Yeah.
I will say this about Elgrisma. He didn't look good, but there were flashes of talent that let you see why people are so high on him. He threw a corner route to, I think it was, do I have this marked down here? Somewhere in this, I think it was Dorian Singer. That's it. He threw a corner route to him that looked like Ricky Ray throwing to Jason Tucker. You couldn't have thrown it better. It was perfectly timed. So he can do it. He's got the skill set. And what I'm hearing people talking out of camp there, and everybody's going to make the best of it. But basically what they're saying is that he's just pushing too hard. He's wanting to prove what he is, and he needs to just settle down and play football. So maybe by the end of the season, maybe he'll be ready to be a starter next year if Zach isn't back, in 2027 when everything changes. Like I said, he looked good, but not, sorry, that we're not going to do the 20 minutes. That's it. 3 minutes here, we're done.
I heard Brady didn't have anything going, and
well, Brady didn't really get a chance. I think they gave him 2 or 3 carries, and that's one thing. The Rider defense still looked like the Rider defense. Nobody got much in the way of rushing yards. I didn't.
Well, and Tommy Condell doesn't rush play. Doesn't.
Well, that's the other thing here. I did a look at the play count on it. See, I'm making myself jump all over the place here now. Play count. He had 26 passes and 20 rushes, which sounds incredibly balanced for Tommy Condell. Until I looked at it, and 7 of the rushes were by quarterbacks scrambling.
Scrambling.
So really it was 26-13. So 2/3 to 1/3.
That's actually more rushes than I expected.
Yeah, it still is. And that was the other question I have. Can you count on him rushing that much in the regular season?
No, absolutely not. I think O'Shea maybe is trying to make him, but whether he actually does. But you know what? No. Too bad, O'Shea. You knew this. Your entire management team knew this, so you got to wear it. If this is how it's going to go out and you're going to make your star upset, you got to wear it.
Yeah. Well, and not utilize probably the best player you have on the team.
Yeah, Brady. But no, it's Tim White. We're running the offense through Tim White, not Brady.
Everyone says Nathan Rourke is the face of the league, and I'll give them that. But Brady's a close second.
Yes.
There's nobody other than Rourke. There's nobody else that draws the attention that Brady does.
And honestly, they're just like 2 genuinely lovely human beings.
Yes. But even outside of that, why they could be wonderful human beings and not play football? And I'd say, okay, so you don't play them. But Brady's a fantastic running back.
Well, they're both top tier of the league.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, like I said, so Elgrisma didn't look good.
This was about down. We're so down on the Bombers today. Sorry, Bomber fans.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
we really want nothing but the best for you. And I'm a pretty jaded Tie Cat fan. So.
And I don't mean to to pick on Coach Condell. I don't know what he's like as a person or anything. Sorry, Coach, but in my opinion, you're not a great match for what the culture of that team has been. I've questioned it from the start. Like I said, as a Rider fan, when I saw they signed him as OC, my first thought was, hey.
Yeah.
But on the quarterbacks front, Bryce Perkins, who is the third one who's actually still in camp, not bad. He had some promise with it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I mentioned what you had said to me earlier, that apparently they're building the offense around White, and he went 3 for 3, 57 yards.
But because it didn't matter. Because it wasn't an important play. Jaded Ticat fan, it wasn't an important play. Of course he caught it.
Yeah, well, I don't know I'm not a Ticat fan. I may be jaded, not a Ticat fan, but I'm with you on it.
I am happy to have these men prove me wrong this year. Please.
Yeah. Please, Mr. White.
Yeah.
Entertain us. Show us great things. But until you do, I'm not sure. So let's see here. What else did I have? Both teams basically have, I know the two of you beat the hell out of me about not calling Willie an elite defensive end, but I don't think he's there. And I don't think James Vaughters for Saskatchewan, I think he's good and he can hold down one side, but I don't think he's elite. And they both have questions on the other side. And I didn't really see answers on the game. Nobody for Winnipeg really jumped out at me. For the Riders, Justin Weaver and Desmond Evans looks like they're probably the front runners to make the team, but not making me feel good and solid. They looked really, really good against the run. Their pass rush did not look great. So we'll see from there. Anything else that I have here? Receivers, because they're both looking for some new receivers to fill in where they want. For the Riders, there were 3 of them that are basically American rookies trying for one American spot that they've got open, and then, maybe a backup, I don't know. But Johnny Johnson, I think it was the third, was 4 for 4 for 64 yards. Sexton, who's looked good in the first preseason game, and Jana Jr. were both pretty good. Jana Jr. was 6 for 7 for 170 yards, and Sexton was 4 for 5 for 34 yards. So they both looked like, or those 3 look like they've got the front end on it. For the Bombers, they had White, who you expect would be there. Apparently, like you said, they're building their offense around him. So expect him to be good. Yeah, and he was 3 for 3 for 57 yards. And they had Dorian Singer, who was 3 for 6 for 59 yards and flashed a couple of times. But everybody else just basically looked like a bunch of other guys. So we'll see where that goes. There was an interesting moment at the end of the game when they were getting a little bit bored. This game was played in Saskatoon at Griffith Stadium, where the Saskatoon Huskies play. First time ever. They've played in Saskatoon before, but at the Gordie Howe Bowl. So this was a new field, and they had people on the berms at the end of the end zone and standing room along the sidelines and whatnot. They did do a fantastic job of quality production on this game. For where they're going into a small stadium that's not set up for cameras, this was one of the best looking games of the weekend as far as camera work went and everything. But late in the game, when there's a bit of break action, they pan through the crowd, and a couple of, frankly, very skinny, probably about 130 pounds soaking wet, maybe 5 foot, pasty skinned farm boys see the camera coming at them and decide, now's the time we've got to rip our tops off and slam back a beer.
When in Saskatoon.
Yes. That's a moment that if anybody keeps the video for you, you will be embarrassed about for the rest of your life.
In Saskatoon.
Yes. There are people who should flip off their tops and start posing when the camera hits them, and there's people who shouldn't.
Oh, all right. I'm not getting into this.
Well, men.
I'm not commenting.
Okay.
Boys, I hope you had fun at the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Tarps off.
Yeah. Sun's out, guns out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I got here is really, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Riders in their first preseason, or in their first season game, because they're done their preseason. So they don't play this weekend, and they have the bye. One of 3 teams with the bye in the first week. So they've got 3 weeks of beating up each other at practices again before they actually get into a real football game.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that'll do to their, their overall attitude. How rusty are they? I will say that when they had basically the starting offenses and defenses in there, both Trevor Harris and Kolaris look good. So as long as they're healthy, both of those teams have a chance, but that's about it. Okay. The last thing I had, I didn't know if we'd need to talk about this. I don't know that we do. I was just going to wanted to have a quick discussion, but with only the two of us, and you didn't get to see most of the games, it's less of a discussion, but about the quality of the production on this year's preseason game so far. And frankly, I think it'd be nice to see more ads in all the games and more variety, but I also got to keep in mind, not everybody's sitting through 4 games of that and watching it the way I am. For most people, it's probably not that annoying. The video production has generally been pretty good. There were a couple that were a little off, but it's been better than last year. Frankly, the worst one of them.
Better than last year.
Yeah, the worst one of them all was TSN with their rain. That was the Blood Bowl, but yeah. And
yeah,
really the only other mistake that I found that was annoying was the Ottawa at Montreal game. They had one channel audio. It was a stereo feed, but the audio was only on one side of it. So as a result, the announcer's audio was considerably quieter than when they went to commercials. And so watching the
people were making fun of that the whole night. They're like,
yeah, this is going on all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, do you want to play CFL fantasy?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. The play pick.
Yeah. Or else. Yeah.
In 97 decibels.
I just enjoy people get as I said last week, I just enjoy hearing some radio announcers from around the league and some hot mic moments and what people are up to, and that's it's a little local flair. It's kind of fun.
Yes. Yeah. And hey, I think we're done, and it's only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
We're giving people a break in the preseason here.
Well.
Any closing thoughts for us?
Yeah, so you can find me over on Blue Sky at Sports of Plants. I'm on Instagram, posting away. And thanks to all the Calgary Stampeder fans who wanted some tarot insights. They are all excited for the season.
I like it. Yes, and I'll be GT and say something like, let's see. Although I am really not happy about 3 Down Nation, and other than that, you can get me at GT Barnum at Blue Sky at social. Go Stamps.
Go Stamps. God bless Go Stamps.
The worst GT impersonation ever.
I was like, he's not going to want to come back on next week.
I hope he's. I don't know when he's coming back. We didn't know he was in Europe. I hope he can get back.
Yeah.
We our military doesn't have a SEAL team if he gets held hostage or something.
Right?
Side, and we send our crack beaver team in to
or
get him.
He's just
maybe,
actually, it's kind of nice over here. Maybe I don't want to.
Yeah. Hey, and if I stay here, I can stream CFL Plus free all season.
There you go.
Yeah. Good luck out there, GT. Let us know if and when you're coming back.
Yeah, we miss you already.
Yeah, exactly. This show, no one's going to accuse us of being overly professional. That show, it's a good show, but
we're working things out.
That CFL Outsiders, I like it, but it's so overproduced. Everything's just boom, boom. Okay, me.
All right, it's time to.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Time to go home. Yes, I like that. So me, you can get me at oldman-sac.bluesky.social. And the CFL Outsiders were all over the place, as I've said before. Not on Facebook, but other than that, if there's a program or a social media outlet there and you look up CFL Outsiders, you're probably going to find us. And thank you to all the people out there that have been following us on those platforms. Thank you to everyone that's subscribing here. This is fantastic. Our numbers are steadily climbing, and we're going to set some new goals for next year or for the end of this year, but we won't tell you. At least not until it looks like it's a reasonable goal. Anyway, for the absent and possibly unconscious GT and MJ, this is Old Man saying, until next week, get the hell off my lawn.